Nigeria on the march again.
On the march again.
Looking for Mr. President.
On the march again.
MKO is our man. Oh.
MKO is our man.
Now him go make our country better.
He's the man.
For progress and a better tomorrow.
He's our man.
Make you vote for him, my brother. I say make you vote for him, my sister.
He's our man.
Everybody make una vote for him.
He's the man.
Now him be our only hope.
He's our man.
I say now him be hope for tomorrow.
He's the man.
On the march again.
On the march again.
SDP the people's choice.
On the march again.
MKO is the man. Oh.
Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, popularly known as MKO Abiola, was born on the 24th of August 1937 and died on the 7th of July 1998. Abiola was a Nigerian businessman, publisher and politician. He was the Are Ona Kakanfo 14 of Yoruba land and an aristocrat of the Egba clan. MKO Abiola ran for the presidency in 1993, for which the election results were annulled by then military president Ibrahim Babangida because of allegations that they were corrupt and unfair. The early life of MKO Abiola. MKO Abiola was born in Abeokuta, Ogun State, to the family of Salau and Soliat Wuraola Abiola. His father was a produce trader who primarily traded cocoa, and his mother traded in kola nuts. His name, Kashimawo, means let us wait and see. Moshood Abiola was his father's 23rd child, but the first of them to survive infancy, hence the name Kashimawo. It was not until he was 15 that he was properly named Moshood by his parents. Abiola attended African Central School, Abeokuta, for his primary education. As a young boy, he assisted his father in the cocoa trade, but by the end of 1946, his father's business venture was failing, precipitated by the destruction of a cocoa consignment declared by a produce inspector to be of poor quality grade and unworthy for export and to be destroyed immediately. At the age of 9, he started his first business, selling firewood gathered in the forest at dawn before school to support his father and siblings. Abiola founded a band at the age of 15 and would perform at various ceremonies in exchange for food. Abiola was eventually able to require payment for his performances and used the money to support his family and the secondary education at the Baptist Boys High School, Abeokuta. Abiola was the editor of the school magazine. The trumpeter Olusegun Obasanjo was a deputy editor. At the age of 19, he joined the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, ostensibly because of its stronger pan-Nigerian origin compared with the Obafemi Awolowo-led Action Group. In 1960, he obtained a government scholarship to study at the University of Glasgow, where he later earned a degree in accountancy and qualified as a chartered accountant. He later became a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICAN. Moshood Abiola ventured into many businesses. In 1956, Abiola started his professional life as a bank clerk with Barclays Bank in Ibadan, southwest Nigeria. After 2 years, he joined the Western Region Finance Corporation as an executive account officer before leaving for Glasgow, Scotland to pursue his higher education. From Glasgow University, he received a first-class degree in accountancy, and he also gained a distinction from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Scotland. On his return to Nigeria, Abiola worked as a senior accountant at the University of Lagos Teaching Hospital, then went on to US firm PIFZA before joining the ITT Corporation, where he later rose to the position of Vice President, Africa and Middle East. Abiola spent a lot of his time and made most of his money in the United States, while retaining the post of chairman of the corporation's Nigerian subsidiary. While Abiola worked at the Nigerian subsidiary of PIFZA Smile Pharmaceuticals, his desire was to own some equity in the firm, but the options available to him were not appealing. He then applied to a job listing seeking a trained accountant. It was during the interview that he found out that the firm was ITT Corporation. Abiola was employed by the firm, and one of his immediate responsibilities was to clear the backlog of debt owed to the firm by the military. An office meeting with the Army's Inspector of Signals, Murtala Muhammad, to seek a resolution of the debt resulted in verbal argument held by the Chief of Army Staff, Hassan Usman Katsina. The intervention of Katsina ended up being favorably to Abiola, as he was given a check to cover the debt. Abiola used his determination to clear the debt as a bargaining tool for more role in the company. Initially, he was able to remove the expatriate manager, but was unable to get a requested 50% equity in the Nigerian arm of ITT. Abiola subsequently established Radio Communication (RCN) as a side business. New employees were trained in marketing of telecoms equipment, and Abiola targeted the military, who were replacing Civil War era equipment as business clients. His marketing strategy proposed training of military personnel in the use of equipment so as to reduce reliance on outside vendors for maintenance. The strategy gained favor in the security-conscious armed forces. Abiola soon received a contract to supply hardware to the military that got the attention of ITT, and he was offered 49% equity ownership of its Nigerian arm. RCN went on to develop a static communication network for the Armed Forces Signal Unit and Nigeria's domestic satellite communications. In 1975, ITT and partners secured a major contract to supply automatic telephone exchange in a number of locations within the country. Abiola also invested heavily in Nigerian and West Africa. He set up Abiola Farms, Abiola Bookshops, Radio Communication Nigeria, Wonder Bakeries, Concord Press, Concord Airlines, Summit Oil International Limited, African Ocean Lines, Abib Bank, Decca WA Limited, and Abiola Football Club. He was also chairman of the G15 Business Council, president of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, patron of the Kwame Nkrumah Foundation, patron of the W.A.B. Du Bois Foundation, patron of the Webb Du Bois Foundation, trustee of the Martin Luther King Foundations, and director of the International Press Institute. In 1983, he teamed up with Shehu Musa Yaradua, Bamanga Tukor, and Raymond Dokwesi to establish African Ocean Lines. The firm began operation in 1984 using chartered vessels before acquiring 2 cargo ships in 1986 with a capacity for 958 TEUs. The shipping firm route linked the major shipping ports along the West African coast with United Kingdom and Northern Europe. Abiola's involvement in politics started early on in life when he joined the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroon's NCC at age 19. In 1979, the military government kept its words and handed over power to the civilians. As Abiola was already involved in politics, he joined the ruling National Party of Nigeria (NPN) in 1980 and was elected the state chairman of his party. Re-election was done in 1983, and everything looked promising since the re-elected president was from Abiola's party and based on the true transition to power in 1979. Abiola was eligible to go for the post of presidential candidate after the tenure of the re-elected president. However, his hope to become the president was shortly dashed away for the first time in 1983 when a military coup d'etat swept away the re-elected president of his party and ended civilian rule in the country. Abiola was a member of Azauddin organization in Nigeria. In the 1980s, through his National Concord newspaper, Abiola supported Islamic causes, including introduction of a Sharia Court of Appeal in southwestern Nigeria and Nigeria's entry to the Organization of Islamic Countries. The support given the letter received less favorable response from some readers of the National Concord. Notwithstanding, he was actively involved in the formation and activities of the National Sharia Committee. In 1984, he was given a title of Baba Adini of Yoruba land by a committee of Muslim clerics. His support of Islam in southern Nigeria earned him some recognition in the northern region of the country. In his hometown, Abeokuta, Abiola built a Quran training center which was named after his mother, Zulihat Abiola. After a decade of military rule, General Ibrahim Babangida came under pressure to return democratic rule to Nigeria. After an aborted initial primary, Abiola stood for the presidential nomination of the Social Democratic Party (SDP) and beat Ambassador Baba Gana Kingibe and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar to secure the presidential nomination of the SDP ahead of the June 12, 1993 presidential elections. Abiola had managed to work his way out of poverty through hard work. He established Abiola Bookshop to provide affordable locally produced textbooks in the 1980s, when imported textbooks became out of the reach of ordinary Nigerians as the naira was devalued. He also made available daily necessities such as rice and soap at affordable prices in the market. Abiola's political message was an optimistic future for Nigeria, with slogans such as "Farewell to Poverty," "At Last a Rays of Hope," and "The Burden of Schooling." His economic policy included negotiations with foreign creditors and better management of the country's international debt. In addition, increased cooperation with the foreign community while presenting himself as someone the international community can trust. For the June 12, 1993 presidential elections, Abiola's running mate was his primary opponent, Baba Gana Kingibe. He defeated his rival, Bashir Tofa, of the National Republican Convention. The election was declared Nigeria's freest and fairest presidential election by national and international observers, with Abiola even winning in his northern opponent's home state of Kano. Abiola won at the national capital, Abuja, the military polling station, and over 2/3 of Nigerian states. Men of northern descent and largely dominated Nigeria's political landscape since independence. Moshood Abiola, a Western Muslim, was able to secure a national mandate freely and fairly, unprecedented in Nigeria's history. However, the election was annulled by Ibrahim Babangida, causing a political crisis which led to General Sani Abacha seizing power later that year. During preparations for the 2011 Nigerian presidential election, there were calls from several quarters to remember MKO Abiola. In 1994, Moshood Abiola MKO declared himself the lawful president of Nigeria in the Ekpetedo area of Lagos Island, an area mainly populated by Yoruba Lagos indigenes. He had recently returned from a trip to win the support of the international community for his mandate. After declaring himself president, he was declared wanted and was accused of treason and arrested on the orders of military President General Sani Abacha, who sent 200 police vehicles to bring him into custody. MKO Abiola has been referred to as Nigeria's greatest statesman. His second wife, Alhaja Kudirat Abiola, was assassinated in Lagos in 1996 after declaring public support for her husband. Moshood Abiola was detained for 4 years, largely in solitary confinement, with a Bible, Quran, and 14 guards as companion. Moshood Abiola died unexpectedly shortly after the death of General Sani Abacha on the day that he was due to be released. While meeting a group of American diplomats, including Thomas Pickering and Susan Rice, at a government guest house in Abuja, Abiola fell ill and died. Rice had served tea to Abiola shortly before his collapse, and later wrote of an enduring belief in Nigeria that she had poisoned Abiola. Independent autopsy carried out and witnessed by physicians and pathologists from the Nigerian government, Nigerian Medical Association, Canada, UK and the United States found substantial evidence of long-standing heart disease. Chief MKO Abiola's memory is celebrated in Nigeria and internationally. Since his death, the Lagos State government declares June 12 as a public holiday. In 2018, other states including Ogun, Oyo, and Osun announced June 12 as a public holiday to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the annulled 1993 presidential election. Also, MKO Abiola Stadium, the Moshood Abiola Polytechnic, were named in his honor, and they were cause for posthumous presidential recognition. A statue, MKO Abiola statue, was erected in his honor. Abiola was awarded the national honor of Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, GCFR, an honor awarded to only Nigerian head of state posthumously on 6 June 2018 by President Muhammadu Buhari, and the Nigerian Democracy Day was changed to June 12. Abiola was a personal friend of Ibrahim Babangida and is believed to have supported Babangida coming to power.